So, hey guys, so today we're going to be doing the viewer deck review. Usually this is a weekly thing, but I might be cutting it back a little bit. I'm not really sure how I feel about the series, but basically what I do is I look at decks that viewers submit, whether it's historic, standard, brawl, etc. And I just sort of go over like the card choices, how I feel about the deck, what I might change in the sideboard or main deck, etc. And just how I feel like it fits in the meta. So if you guys are into that, that's what these videos are about. So today we've got 3 decks. It's God Pharaoh Combo, Coco Elves, and a Jeskai Approach list is what we're going to be going over. And all of the lists will be exportable down below. So if you just want to check out the lists and see what they look like in Arena and you want to export that, right down below, pretty easy to click and go. And so now we're going to be digging into the list. So this is a God Pharaoh Combo by Trevor. From chat. I'm not sure if this is Trevor's list or if someone else in chat actually submitted it, but you know, that's the name. So we've got Chamber Sentries, Stone Coils, Ugins. So I think that this deck, it's a combo, right? So it's Gate to the Afterlife, which is whenever a non-creature token you control dies, you gain 1 life. You may then draw a card, and then if you do, discard a card, right? And I think what they do mainly, the main combo here, the main synergy, is that all of these creatures for X for 0 die as soon as they come in for 0, right? So you're going to be drawing a card with this each time and then discarding another card. So you discard irrelevant cards that you can't cast so that you can get this proc going like turn 4 probably. Or turn 3 if you have Lana War Elves to accelerate, I think. Like if you have the nuts, so to speak, with the elves. So basically every time you cycle one of these creatures, they come in, they die, you draw a card, you discard a card. You get this condition going faster, which is tap 2, sacrifice Gate to the Afterlife, search your graveyard, hand and or library card for a card named God Pharaoh's Gift, put that onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it, activate this ability only if there are 6 or more cards in the graveyard. So they really rely on this engine of just being able to destroy creatures and cast them for 0. While also, if they need to stave off aggro, they can play them as like a 2-drop, and then when they do die, you know, they still get the effect of this anyway. So God Pharaoh's Gift, at the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. It gains haste until end of turn. So the combo here is with Combat Celebrant, which is if Combat Celebrant hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it, which is an exerted creature won't untap during your next untap step. Not a big deal for this combo. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and after this phase there's an additional combat phase. So what this means is like if you pitch these with your Gate to the Afterlife while you're just cycling through zeros and such, you can just sit there and create lots of value, keep pitching these into the graveyard so that the God Pharaoh's Gift gives you an extra copy of it, etc. And then you can also like spark double. So this says at the end of the turn you exile it, right? No. So it's just a copy. So what'll happen is like you also have spark doubles that can copy the combat, which comes into play untapped, so then they can still swing with it, etc. And it just keeps comboing that way. Or you get spark doubles in your graveyard for the God Pharaoh's Gift. Because you have multiple combat steps. So that's sort of how the list works. It's very interesting. You may have Visitor of Many Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Except if it was embalmed, the token has no mana cost, it's white, and it's a zombie, that's irrelevant as well. So you can also embalm this to combo as well if you don't quite have this stuff going on. So there are multiple ways to combo. The list is pretty sweet. Strategic planning is look at the top 3, put one of them into your hand, the rest into your graveyard. So this just feeds your graveyard even more for the Gate to the Afterlife. And then sideboard just looks like they have Spell Pierces, Essence Scatters, Flame Sweeps, just stuff to interact and to not die to aggro, because they don't really care if their creatures die, plus they're not really developing creatures until they have a combo going anyway. So the Flame Sweep really doesn't do much. You just take out your Lana War Elves, and then you sweep. This is also a self-mill spell, so like whenever you cast a historic spell, target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. So this allows you, anytime you play an artifact, because that's historic, to mill 2 more cards to keep yourself rolling or to get the gate going. Also, the Gate and the God Pharaohs are historic, so that procs the Diligent as well. So just really important stuff. Note that only if you hard cast the Pharaoh's gift does it proc this. It coming into play doesn't matter because you're not casting it. 20 lands, so pretty low to the ground here. Because you don't really need a lot to combo, you just need 3 mana. Only 2 if you have the Lana War Elf to combo off with this. So pretty explosive list. And there's only 12 sideboard cards, so this has room for whatever, basically. I think this is like a rough shell of the idea that Trevor set forward. I really like this. This is spicy, and I think it can take a lot of people by storm. Can probably sneak in under Field of the Dead, for example, because they can't really ramp up and interact with you, which is nice. So pretty interesting stuff there. I like it. Very spicy. Has my stamp of approval if you want something spicy. Little expensive on the wild cards, though. 4 Visitors, those are rares that you might not use in any other list. Those are uncommons. Chamber Sentries, if you didn't pull them, it's a little rough. It's your deck? Okay, it's your deck, Lord Sloth. I wasn't sure who it was. So I can put that under the notepad description here. So Lord Sloth's God Pharaoh combo. That way I can remember when I go to make the video, like upload it. So pretty neat though. I like it. It's very spicy. So next list, Cocoa Elves. This is also by Trevor. Is this you again, Lord Sloth? Are you still in the Hooglin Open? No, I dropped. I went 1-2 and got eliminated. We lost against Jund and Black-White discard, Orzhov discard. So this is another one of Sloth's list. So just a lot of elves. It looks like ramp, etc. Clothies is pretty interesting. So this is like splashing red for some tech, which is interesting, instead of splashing the black, which is really neat. Because I figured that black would go pretty well with it too. But I do like the Clothies tech, like to eat graveyards and stuff against food. Lana War Visionaries and Rada is super nice. To be fair, I do like the Rada as well. Steel Leaf Champion I feel is a little greedy, but if all of your, well, the thing is, like, your red cards, you can just play them off of Collected Company for 1, and you have a lot of good targets for that. Like, you can also play the Steel Leaf off of that too. So I like this a lot. This has a lot of staying power. This can also get out of control. Whoops. Pretty fast with Collected Company. Like, you wouldn't have a lot of X, but like just being able to produce a bigger creature too to block or to chase down people is nice. And the flash gives you some utility versus like a board wipe, which I like. What's this do? You may look at the top card of the library. You may cast the top card if it's a creature. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells. So that allows you to cast Steel Leaf and Clothies and Rada with the red, which is important. So that's pretty interesting too. I like that. And then we've got 3 Blazing Volleys, 1 Red Cap, 1 Fry, 2 Heroics. So this is for like board wipes, like Wrath effects. 2 more Wildborns in the sideboard just in case, probably just against control, so you have some flash creatures, especially since Teferi 3 isn't relevant anymore. Clothies is fine. I'm not sure if I bring in the 4th one or if I just bring in like a Crypt or something that's like cheap to exile the graveyard if that's the goal. But I can respect it. I just don't know if I like having all of those with Collected Companies. Like, if this is one of your only targets and you can't really do anything else, it feels kind of bad. And then Reclamation Sage makes sense if you're just staring down a lot of enchantments and artifacts. Like, being able to have a creature to pull from Collected Company makes a lot of sense. And then this is good against aggro. 1 damage to all of the things that you don't control could be good against, like, probably goblins to stop the Prospector from going off. Because if they don't get the Prospector off, it's not too terrible. And I can understand not being able to run Flame Sweep as well, because you'd kill too many of your own creatures. So this is a good balance. I just like this more with like Thane or something where you can deal 2 damage and actually sweep a little bit more because you're not taking care of the hasty boys, the goblins that give haste. So that would be my only critique there. It's just not having an answer for that for the most part. And the one coil seems weird. Like, I think you could probably honestly drop like the Clothies and go 2 coils or double up on Fries or something. These one-ofs don't make a lot of sense to me. But if you're just putting stuff in there to catch people, I can understand it. I'd even say like 2 red cap melees over the other Clothies just so you can punch questing beasts in the face would be nice. Because otherwise you struggle versus that. 22 lands seems a little low, but you do have extra stuff that you can play. Like this allows you to play extra lands. It's just like getting to 3 mana can be a little bit of a problem if you don't have the elf. But other than that, it looks good. Like, I enjoy this. Little sad that we don't have any like arch druids, like the dudes that can produce extra elves onto the field. Like, I might play them over the Wildborns even, because they're, I mean, these are elves though, they're pretty good. I don't know, it's tough. I would like to see room for those. For like at least one to 2 arch druids to keep pressure on the field, but maybe you don't need it. That'd be my critique there. So like maybe more Fries, maybe more red caps, and then like find some room for some arch druids, I would say. And then we've got Rocket's Jeskai approach. This is the list that he is saving up for at the moment. 4 approaches, 4 wraths, 4 clarions, 3 Teferis. I don't know if we need 3 Teferis. I'd probably drop it down to 2 since it's secondary. And the idea behind this list here is to go 2 Whirlwind of Thoughts. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. This is sort of an engine to keep drawing and drawing and drawing. While they're like just going off, like end of the opponent's turn, just draw a billion cards and then get your approach back to your hand. That's the idea. And then we're just running max number of board removals here. We could go Sweltering Suns or Anger, but I think that would be very tough on the mana base. So I don't know how that looks. Like, we've got four Triomes, just 4 of each lands. I'm not sure if they plugged this into MTG on Curve either. We could probably do that for them. So let's copy this. MTG on Curve. This is a site that I highly recommend to check your mana base to see how castable your cards are. So we're perfect. Like, this is just brain dead. Like, just awesome mana base here. I would say that we could sacrifice some of the Triomes here or some of the checks, maybe a shock or 2, for something like the Irrigated Farmlands, the cycle land for Jeskai. It's 2 mana cycle instead of 3 like these. But with the triple color deck, I can really get behind this type of mana base too, because at this point we only have 4 lands that come into play tapped, and that's really awesome. You know, like, that's definitely a boon, something to look forward to, is just being able to top deck that untapped land if you have it, even if it costs you 2 life with the shock. No life gain here gets me a little worried, because the only life gain we have is off of Clarion. But it just kind of combos off. Like, it just tries to go opt, draw with Whirlwind, and then feed as Cantor really hard, and then find another copy of Approach, basically. Like, I enjoy this type of an idea, just going all in on a strat. And then we've got 4 Blood Suns in the sideboard for Field of the Dead, Leyline of Sanctity for Burn, 1 Dream Trawler. I don't agree with this because I think the card's just bad now, for the most part. Like, maybe in Historic it's not too terrible since your opponents will probably sideboard out most Wraths. If it's an open deck list especially, they'll be like, there's only 1 Trawler. The chances of them having that and casting it are pretty low, and maybe I can absorb that anyway. This is talking from the opponent's perspective. 2 Baffling Ends makes sense. Baffling End is better than Glass Casket in almost every case and scenario, aside from if you have like a Karn, being able to pay 2 mana for that is pretty awesome. We've got 2 Vetoes, 2 Scorching, 2 Grafdiggers. So this is for like Saktos and aggro just in general. And then this is for other control matchups to secure the win cons, basically. So I'd say we're a little soft to Planeswalkers, but the deck just tries to ignore them, maybe Supreme Will here and there. I like the setup. I feel like we could drop the Teferi, one of these, for like maybe a Supreme Will or another instant or sorcery. Like maybe a one of Sphinx's Revelation, you know? Like just to draw a bunch of cards and to dump mana. Or like an extra Omen of the Sea. Like just cut the Teferi for something less clunky, I would say, because you don't really need this guy. We could also make room for like maybe a Fae. Like just something so that like game 1 we could Fae for like the Blood Sun and be able to play that out from the sideboard, which would be very, very spicy. just to shut down Field of the Dead, because then what are they going to do? Like, they have to Eugene at that point in order to catch back up. And I think we could also, like, maybe have room for, like, 1 or 2 counter spells main deck that's not Supreme Will, like a Veto. Maybe that could be the Teferi cut, like one of those for 1 veto or something. Just like really minor changes. Like I'd like to see 2 vetoes just in case. But I also appreciate the idea of just going forward with the game plan, just trying to approach really, really fast. You know, like it makes a lot of sense to me to try to turbo that out with Whirlwind. I just don't like the lack of like Mind Stones either. Because this is non-creature spell, so like Mind Stone would still draw you a card. So I feel like developing the Mind Stone early, playing this out, and then being able to go off is really important too. So I'd say cut Teferi maybe for Mind Stone, find room for Mind Stones, but I don't know how. It'd be like cut Clarion by 1, cut Teferi by 1. I don't know, maybe trim a land. I'd be comfortable going down 1 land here, like maybe trim 1 land. That's 3 cards for Mind Stones, 3 Mind Stones. And then maybe trim an approach or something else, like maybe just dig it down to 1 Azcanta. So that's 4. So trim Azcanta, trim Teferi, trim Clarion, trim a land, and 4 Mind Stones. And we're trimming the land, so that's the Mind Stones kind of up the value there. That way we can also Wrath on 4 or Settle on 4. It just lets us play higher. And if we cheat this out early, it's awesome. So that's what I would do probably with the changes there. And that'll pretty much do it. Usually I do these live recordings for this video on when is it? Usually Thursdays. Thursdays around 6 p.m. CT, like Central Time. So if you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe. There'll be an end panel here in a second. You can just click on my face. And then if you want to check out some more content, there's also a button to click there. So appreciate you guys checking out the video, and I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day.